Okay.
You ready? Okay, call the administration committee meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Al Barkstrom,
Here.
Jeff Holstrand,
Here.
Paula Hodak,
Here.
Jordan Spacek,
Here.
Dennis Workle.
Here.
Paula, Jules emailed you some stuff that was handed out this morning. I don't know if you have access to your county email.
I do. Let me just look here.
Yeah, just look, and that's some information that they'll be talking about.
I'll also be sharing it, so you'll be able to, should be able to see it on your screen if you're on a computer.
Okay, thank you.
You ready to go, Paula?
I am ready to go. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Public comment? Is there any public comment? There's no one in the gallery this morning. Is there anybody online?
There are several users online. It's *6 if you have a public comment.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I just would like to say something about this electronic meeting stuff. Can I reserve my comments till you get that agenda item, or do you want me to do it now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I don't hear any public comment. Is there any communications from the committee members? Hearing none, we got the minutes from August 21st, 2024. It's a pleasure on the minutes.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Paul can second.
Okay, we got a motion from Al and a second from Paula. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Employee status update since the last meeting. Nick?
All right. New hires, promotions. Jordan Kutsky, aging and disability started on 8/26. Rhonda Murray McCoskey, social worker, aging and disability started on 10/21. Caitlin Bogard, social worker, behavioral health, started on 9/23. Dawn Schmutzer, child sports specialist, started on 10/14. Dawn Griesel, aging and disability unit supervisor, has a start date of 11/11. And Matt Hibbert, highway operator, started on 9/30. Any questions with new hires?
A lot of social workers.
We're starting to find a few, yeah.
I see between this one and the last one, we got 4 of them. That's good.
Yeah,
It's really good.
correct. Yep. He 2 years ago left, approximately 2 years ago. Yeah. When he previously worked for us, I believe he was in a foreman position when he left. I'm looking at Jennifer for those online. Either way, he did leave 2 years ago, took another job. He is now back with us as an operator. Resignations and retirements. So after I go through these, I just want to say that we have 5 individuals on this list with 129 years of service that we're losing. So that's a lot of
My guess was
years of
125 when I was
Yeah,
trying to
that's
figure
pretty
out
close.
math at home.
So Lynn Neek, County Treasurer, will be done on 1/3/2025, so 35 years of service. Jean Gottwald, County Clerk, will be done 1/6/2025. With 20 years of service, she'll be short of 21 years by 2 weeks. So we're calling it 21 years of service.
I actually worked for a year before I was county clerk.
So it'll be 22 years if you went the extra 2 weeks. Yeah. Michelle Edwards, Public Health Manager, on 1/8/2025 after 34 years of service. Pete Fusak, Highway Department. His last day was October 1st, had 39 years of service. And Philip Youngs, Nutrition Site Manager in Ogama. Last day was 9/25/24, and it was 5 years of service. So lots of long-term employees leaving. Positive when we look at this, we're not seeing the same thing we've seen for the last couple of years where we saw 1 year, 6 months, 18 months. We're starting to retain the employees that we're hiring, which is a good thing. Recruitments, we have social worker, children and youth. We're looking for 2 of them. We do have an offer to an individual to fill one of those positions, but it will be at 27 hours. So it won't be a full-time fill. The individual just, we've worked with this individual. We feel that they're a good fit, but they aren't available to do the 40 hours. So we're going to be utilizing one of those open positions to get as many hours as we can to assist that department. Nutrition site manager, Ogama, we have interviews on November 12th. Home delivery meals driver, we have interviews on November 14th. And then substitute nutrition site manager, that's always ongoing. One that we did miss, we had 2 highway operator positions opened in between the last 2 meetings. And we have interviews today or yesterday and today. So that one hopefully will be filled after tomorrow.
Those guys that were here short term left or?
Pete's
early?
position would be 1, and then Cole. Cole, wasn't it Cole?
Yes, I think it was.
Cole was like a 2-year employee, went to the railroad. I think we said him on the last.
Cole Richards?
There was 2 Coles. We
Oh,
had
okay.
2 Coles we
Okay.
hired on the same
Let's see, I
day.
thought he was just there the other day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All I got. Unless there's questions.
Any questions for Nick? We will move on. Price County Public Health.
All right, so we have been having an interim or a shadow or whatever you want to look at it as. One of our public health nurses, Tiffany Polachek, has been working, mentoring with Michelle Edwards to see if she is interested in the position. We believe she's capable of it. We did go through the state process to put all her paperwork in to see if she's eligible, because you have to hit certain criteria. We did hear back from the state. She is eligible. And
She
so
was or wasn't?
she is eligible to take this position. So we need a recommendation from, or I guess what I'm saying is I would like to appoint Tiff Polachek as the public health nurse. What we need is this committee or a committee to agree with that recommendation and forward it to the full county board for confirmation.
I would make that recommendation in motion.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion to appoint?
And the official name is the public health manager, just so we know.
Right, we got a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Tiffany Polachek to county nurse.
And move it forward to the county board.
Yep.
And move it forward to the county board. Okay, thank you, Paul.
We need an effective date on there.
Oh, correct. Yeah, and we would do that at the board, but the effective date will be 1/4/2025. So
Were there any other candidates?
we did not, we looked at internally. So we had our handbook allows us to
Are
promote.
you going to be
within-
criticized because we didn't advertise the position?
No, our handbook allows us to promote within, which is if the department head and the county administrator believe we have a candidate and they've shown interest, that's how we move that individual forward.
We've done that with a couple other
Yeah,
positions.
Joe, Josh, yeah,
Sarah.
Sarah Soha, yeah.
Okay,
So then that'll leave an opening for her position.
Correct. We are beginning, as soon as we have this confirmation, we'll begin recruiting for that public health nurse position, for Tiff's position.
Is that the only one that's open over there?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Right?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Okay. 2025 health insurance.
Everybody's favorite topic.
and it's going up to,
It's going up. So we reviewed this in our office to look at where our budget was at, what we budgeted for, what our fund balance was, and how to manage that going forward. And so these are the numbers we came up with. And what I should have done, and I don't have it in front of me, is the difference. I believe, and Jennifer, you might know better offhand, the Simply One Marshfield went up $7.50 a paycheck because we went up $15 from last year on the family plan. Yeah, so it was minimal. I mean, it's still an increase to a household. So the family and single plan did go up. Yeah, it went up $15 on the Simply One per month or per paycheck. Sorry. No, I don't remember. I have to open the other. Yeah. It went up 15 total.
Take a choice here.
It's minimal is what I'm trying to say. So we try to do a number divisible by 2 so that your paycheck's even. So if you look at like the broad network, it's 125 or 150 a paycheck, 300 per month. I want to say that one went up $20 a paycheck.
So these numbers you have here,
our per paycheck.
Yep. So the first section is per paycheck. The
Oh, it
square
says that there. Sorry.
square in red is per month, and then the yearly total. So as far as the county, I think we went up 2%, 3% of the total cost, and then employees, we did increase per paycheck.
Statewide plan,
Which is the one I'm highlighted.
the single was $50.
So that went up $5 per paycheck.
The family was $135, that went up $15 paycheck.
Okay. So
Then for the Simply One,
that one was 38, I think, for a single per paycheck.
it happened 35,
Wow, 35.
so it went up $7 for the single, and it went up $15 for the family.
So employees will see a small increase on their
What about the last one?
15 on
The
this
zero
one.
deductible one.
Oh, the zero deductible. So what we do for that one is we take what you would pay in premium for the Simply One, so the $15 or 115, plus we divide the total deductible that you would pay, so 3,300. Divide that by the 24 paychecks, and then add 20% because we're doing all your paperwork. We're doing all your billing. So you pay a premium to do this, and the ones we see do this are ones that know they're going to hit the deductible. They just don't want to deal with paperwork and waiting for the EOBs and writing the check. So it's a consistency in their household. So they know what they're going to have every paycheck. They don't have to worry about that $1,200 or $1,500 call that says you owe. And so they're just done. And we have a couple people on it. I think we'll see a few more going forward, just because the ones that went on it were like, this is great for my household. I'm just done.
That went up single $11 a paycheck, and then family $23 a paycheck.
So they cover all the same costs that they do on the Simply One, plus a premium for not having any deductible, an enhancer.
Not much we can do about it, unfortunately.
No, and
mean,
I will
and it's
say,
a minimal increase, compared to some of the other people I've talked to.
yep.
And
that's what I was going to bring up. We're seeing probably on the state plan on average, I think went up between 10 and 14, depending on which level you were. So city got that. I know the city of Phillips saw like a 30% increase. I talked to Iowa County on a call. He was dealing with 40% increase. So again, we're not doing great in our fund balance. We're not rolling in money, but we have a way to manage it. So we're not beating employees up on a 40% increase. Not that we would need one, but we're slowly managing it. We went up slightly. It still falls within our budget. Next year we'll probably see another increase. It's not slowing down anytime soon. It's going to be one of our largest costs in the long run.
So this yearly number down here at the bottom is that's what the employee's paying plus what we're paying into the fund.
Correct. Yep.
So in essence, we're paying $30-some thousand a month into the fund for a family plan.
No, that's a year. So in the
Here,
in the-
yeah, that's what I meant, a year.
Yeah. In the red box is what we would be adding to our fund balance between employee and employer. Long run.
Is our fund balance healthy?
We're right at that zero. We're a little under. So we didn't
No
move-
big spikes?
No, we didn't move forward like we wanted to. Obviously, you want to have $400,000 to $600,000 in that. You want about 3 months worth of bills. We've had a rough 2 years. So 2 years ago when we first started this, we had one employee, and we have stop loss, but it was over $1 million for one employee. So then all your insurances that paid your stop loss go, okay, it's time for us to make up our money. So then this year we had to pay more in insurances to cover if that happens again. We recently we've had a couple cancers this year. We have one person that their medicine is $250,000 a year. Lucky our stop loss says, okay, you only pay 100 of that. But then they go, by the way, your stop loss, I think our stop loss insurance went up 300%.
You're always gonna have those
Yep.
issues.
Yep. And it's just,
Always.
we've had some major ones, and it is what it is, right? Every health insurance program is going to have it. It's just, this is the state of health insurance right now. I will say Tailored Family has been a huge, we talked about this earlier, it is redirecting a lot of costs, which will helped us stay less than what we would have had to do. So as people go there, instead of the $300 appointment because you went and got your blood pressure checked at Aspirus or Marshfield, it's $100. You go in for your tier 1, it's paid for by the county, you save $200 appointment. Well, if you get all your employees to do their checkups there, all of a sudden you saved $100,000 for the year. It's significant. We're really, really going to push hard on getting employees to go to the Nearside Clinic, the Tailored Family, during our open enrollment process this year.
Okay, do you need anything from us?
Yep. So we needed a motion to accept these as our 2025 premiums.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion to.
I would make a motion to accept these numbers.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the numbers Nick presented.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. The clinic, did you want to give an update on? it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not much different than what I just stated. During our open enrollment, we will be pushing Tailored Family as much as possible. It has been a great product for us. We just gotta make sure employees that haven't heard about it or aren't accessing it start accessing it. And one way we're doing that, I think I shared the right thing. I hope I shared. Yeah, okay. I handed out this morning, we're doing our open enrollments starting, or it'll be November 4th through the 15th open enrollment. During that time, we do mandatory employee meetings where every employee sits through our health insurance and then county updates. They come to this room, we do that. So we made this we didn't. Laura made this, updated our open enrollment packet. So what this is in front of you is, it'll just say on page 12 of our handbook, that's where you look for your vacation. Wisconsin Retirement's page 31. The health savings account that you guys approved a couple months ago, it's new for 2025. We've always had health savings. We're now using Associated Bank, so they have more portal options where you can invest. EdVest, that's one that we're looking to add, or we're adding is, so if you have children, grandchildren, or even yourself, you can use your county paycheck post-tax or after tax. We can deduct and send it to the Advest program, and you can start saving for a child or grandchild or yourself for educational costs, vision and dental, the BetterHelp we talked about. We added earlier this year, which will start 1/1. But this is the handout that Laura came up with. So it's at a glance. This is everything we offer. We have one that looks similar to this, but has different details for employee orientation. So when you're a new employee, you'll get a page that looks similar to this, but it has more detail on what the Wisconsin retirement, what it is, what it means. It's more robust on details. All I got.
Anyone else have anything else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to employee handbook updates. And item A is a 5 roll and deductions for payroll. 5 payroll and deductions for payroll timesheets.
Yep. So you should have in your packet a red line version of what the updates would be. So under section 5, payroll and deductions from payroll, under timesheets, we added the timesheet format may be a hard copy or recorded online depending on the department. So we've been doing this for a while. We had an online time card. We just changed to a new product, but we've been doing this for a while. So we're just, again, clarifying the handbook that we do use electronic, or we have been using electronic timesheets. And then on a biweekly basis, employees must then sign their completed timesheet is what it used to say. And now it's or approve, because approval is what you do online. It's not a signature, it's an approval button it's an electronic signature. It's different. Any questions on timesheets?
So what do we expect is gonna happen? People are gonna use the hard copy or the online?
No, we implemented a system about 2 years ago. We've been using an electronic one. The people that still do paper are highway. There's sheriff's office, a couple of them. So we're moving everybody towards electronic. It's not a choice. It's not like Nick can
But
decide.
right now, the employee has a piece of paper. keeps it.
Some do, yep, and some do online. We're moving towards everybody being online eventually.
They record it every day and then turn
Yep.
it in after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can show you what it looks like online. Timecock Plus. Oh, let me share. So an employee would go online. I have 2 versions, but I'll go on to so this was, as a manager, I would sign in here to see all my employees' time off or their time to approve, which there would be some in there to approve. But as an employee, you'd go to a computer, or there's an app. So you get a cell phone app, and you can put it in, and you put your employee number, and you log in. I don't remember my password. There we go. So then you, as an employee, you'd go to manage your timesheet, and it would look like this. So on Monday, you worked 8 to 6, and this is where we say the approval. So it's an electronic time card.
Here that long.
Yeah. On Wednesday, I was here till 9:30 because we went to Towns Association. So
You have to take breaks too?
some employees do, some don't.
Cause like ours at work, we get booted out if we don't take a break.
Yeah, so if I went to add time, you
It
can
really made it interesting during harvest when we were starting at 5 and working till
yeah.
5 or 6 at night. Cause boy, it was all sorts of red flags on it.
So let's say like the highway department, nobody, not everybody goes to a central gathering point, right? Do they?
Yep, at the end of the day or the
Yeah,
beginning of
upstairs,
the
that
day.
time clock area.
There's a time clock so they punch in?
Nope,
No,
nope. You
well,
use a
like a-
computer or a cell phone.
Yeah.
So a cell phone works. So like if you look at, I can go to Time Clock Plus and I put it, and this doesn't have to be, it's not a time clock like you think where you punch. Like today I didn't check in. So I would go and say, okay, today is Thursday. I showed up at 8 a.m. I was done at 4:30 and it's done. And then I have to, as an employee, so I'm not lying on it, I would click approve. It says, do you agree with this statement? Or did you actually do these hours? I'd say yes. And then it would save it. The hard part for like mine or a salaried individual, like I worked Friday until noon, but I don't put anything in there because I already hit my 40 hours by then. So it's a little different on mine than if you were an hourly employee where you would track the ins and outs. If you take a break.
Yeah, why you go out, why you came,
Yep.
when
And you can
go.
put notes on there and,
Yeah.
and like here, so I stayed later than 8 or 3:30, but I could add another time. So I could add 3:45 to 4:30 and it would give me multiple. So I had a break in between.
Let's say it's actually pretty nice looking setup.
It works very well. It's the manager side we're working through. It's an
Yeah.
approval process issue, but in general, it's easier for payroll because it just imports into our system and then we check from there.
Who approves your time?
The office will check it, but all salaried individuals, you could do that too. All salaried individuals, the hard part is it's so flexible that once you hit 40, like I could have put on here like Friday, now I'm at more hours than 40 for the first week. Like right now I am.
It's probably depressing to know how many hours you actually
Yep,
put in.
sometimes we just stop.
So if I'm late and I punch in, I'm still home, the only one that could see that would be the supervisor.
Yep, the manager has to manage that. So like if I came in at 8:30, I put 8, the manager would have to make note of that. Like, whoa, why'd you punch in wrong or type in
Right
wrong?
here.
It's not a punch in. That's a misnomer. It's why'd you record your time wrong?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have one change.
So is there,
I wouldn't
if
mind.
you're late, is there a penalty on your paycheck?
Well, you'd go unpaid,
Yeah,
but you
An
could.
an hourly employee.
Yep, it's based on the hours work. So if I'm an hourly employee and I come in at 8:30, I would either have to work till 5 instead of 4:30 or go unpaid, use
Or get
vacation.
docked.
Sick. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So is this system tied directly to Jennifer's payroll? Or,
Yes, the payroll process. So what we do is we export a file and import it into our paycheck system.
so if an hourly employee had 40.32 hours, they would get that 0.32 in overtime?
Correct. Yep. And that's why the salaried is hard because it doesn't stop you from putting more in, but it also wouldn't pay you overtime because we have a button that says no overtime, but it would try to pay you like 100 regular hours. So they have to, like Robin goes through everybody's check, or it's not a check, but like the time, and goes, your salary just be 80, if that's
So-
why we stop at 80.
So I understand what you're saying. I can tell you what we used to have to do as salaried employees. Number one, we as salary were required 45 hours a week, but our bosses wanted us to actually put down our actual time, even if it was you go into a towns association meeting, so that it could be used in the future to say, oh, Nick's position when we go to replace him in a year or so, he only puts in 40 hours a week. So that's all that's expected of you. Whereas they could use that and say, on average, this employee was putting in
Yeah.
50 hours a week, just so that people know, so that, for salaried employees, they're not blindsided by it just gives the company, in this sense, us,
Yeah.
an idea how much time our salaried people are actually working.
Yeah, we've tracked that in the past, and it's just, I don't remember who said it over here. Sad.
I mean, it doesn't affect the
Yeah.
payroll at all for
Yeah.
salaried employees, but
And we
but
allow.
down the road, we could get a printout and say, you know, over the last 5 years, Nick has averaged 50 hours a week,
Yeah.
you know,
But
just
then you'd
something.
look at like someone like Caleb Morgan's position, children and youth, any one of the managers over there that has social workers, it's a lot.
Well, and again, just because of the position I used to hold, that was important information for us when it came to hiring and wage increases and things like that, that, hey, this position, maybe we need to look at a part-time position to help this person or relieve them of some of their duties, because
And we have a PARS report. We do that. So that's actually on a separate spreadsheet. So we have to track all of our hours, what unit we're working with or what area we're working in, which then gets us money back for grants. So we have some of that information. Problem with this is then the payroll person, it wouldn't save them any entering. You might as well go back to paper. Cause it would override what we're doing. That's the problem. What was your change, Jordan?
My change is coming up
Oh,
in
okay.
the benefits thing.
That's fine. So any questions about the timesheets? We're doing electronic. We just want to cover electronic.
We're gonna handle these one at a time, or do you want to do them all at once?
That's up to you guys. A consensus vote.
All at once, okay.
Okay.
So then we'll move on to item B, the 6 wages and other forms of compensation, highway, winter hours, and shift differential.
Yep. So this has been 4 years now, 3 years. It's been a while. We did a resolution 2022.
I
So 2
think-
years.
Yeah, this will be
Uh,
the third year, right?
Yep. So 822, we did a resolution that said from November 1st through March 31st, it's winter hours, it's undesirable. We pay an extra amount for the individuals out at the highway. What was happening is when you do a specific date, it ends up being in the middle of a paycheck, which is really hard for our system because then you have to override the system and do the first 40 hours or 20 hours are this, and then the next hours are this or whatever, and then with overtime and everything. Highway has to do it in their system because they check and chem. So what we're recommending based on talking to Roger and his crew is just saying it starts at the 24th pay period of the year, which is November. It's during November, and then goes through the 7th pay period of the following year. So it's the same amount of time. It's just a variable start date based on when the paycheck starts. So no fiscal impact, no change there compared to what we're doing. It's just it might start earlier, it might start later based on it'll never start earlier, but it'll change each year based on the paycheck.
So the on-call pay, specifically the dams crew, there's only one person there, isn't there?
Yep. Well, no, we have
Well, unless there's somebody else is on call.
We
if-
have
if
others that
David
are on
happens
call.
to be
They're on
gone,
call,
right?
okay,
Yep.
so
That's my understanding.
so the winter hours one's
you
the
on
first
call
one.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yep, the on-call dams person, that's for weekends. And like, so somebody will, if the individual who's our dam keeper is like, hey, I'm gone or I'm doing a family vacation, we have backup dams keepers.
And those people
People-
are on call.
Correct. So they
Alright.
would be a weekend on call and would receive that pay. So first one is just a grammatical monitoring versus monitor. And the second one also. So this one normally we just brought it forward because of the grammar thing and we were doing everything else. Usually we just change those without, yeah.
Are we struggling with, on to the next one with the shift differential? Are we struggling for night shift dispatchers or is that?
Oh, the reason we're updating this is we've been paying that $1.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Has that been good?
Yeah, it's worked. I mean, we changed that. I don't know. We didn't even look back. We've been paying the $1. So
years ago.
I don't know why we didn't. We updated it like at a committee and motioned and did everything. We just didn't update it in the handbook.
Sure.
So we're just updating in the handbook based on what we've been doing, based on what was approved. I would guess 2 years ago-ish, year and a half ago.
It's about the time of the contract.
They're not. Oh, this is for highway at night.
No, that's for jailers.
It's jailers. It says correction officer and dispatchers.
No, read for designated highway night shift person will be paid a shift premium of $1 per hour. Yeah, the jailer, we changed the jailer one and everything, but we did update the highway night staff from 15 cents to $1.
Okay.
I bet we did it under Joe still. So it's been
A while.
Sure.
a while. We just didn't update it in the handbook. So that's, again, that one was, the first section is payroll purposes, no fiscal change. Second, on-call area, that was just grammar. The third one was just updating what we've been doing. So no fiscal impact, no additional money, no nothing. We just, there was a motion to do it a long time ago. We didn't update the handbook.
Okay. Item C, 7 overtime miscellaneous.
So again, this one was where we motioned to do behavioral health social workers. And we've been doing it. So it's just cleaning up the handbook language. That was, again, we've been doing it for 2 years for them.
Yeah.
Item D, 22 benefits miscellaneous, employee lifestyle enjoyment enhancement perk.
Okay, and this is my question. Can we switch it to the match the vacation schedule and bump the 125 to 150 and then each would coincide with that and get rid of the 18 years? Or is that too much of a fiscal impact?
Ooh, where, what?
So I would match, you keep the 6 months, but the 6 months would go to 150 and you remove, and the rest would increase all the way up, but you would get rid of the 18-year thing. So it would match the same schedule as the vacation schedule. Basically. What's that?
12 years.
You've done your homework.
Yeah.
So we would just get rid of the 18 and move.
Get rid of the 18 and 15 would go to 275, 12 would go to 250, and 6 months would start out at 150. So
Oh, you want to up it that much? I don't know. We spend about 80,000 now, so you're going up $25. So 20%. It'd be about a $10,000 fiscal.
so
impact.
I'm asking, is it too much or not? I mean, it would put it in line with the vacation schedule.
I don't think
Versus-
anybody's upset with the current
Okay,
schedule.
that's
so
fine.
I'm not.
I was just trying to
recommending-
keep it as a, hey, they're going to 10 days vacation, they're going to 12 days vacation. Hey, they're going to the next tier in the thing versus having a different schedule. That's all.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend changing it today
Okay,
based
that's
on
fine.
we've set the budget and again, it's not a end of the world fiscal
Sure.
impact, but
So on that benefit, you have to do it in order to get a reimbursement.
correct.
So what is the utilization history?
Before we upped so prior to creating this schedule that we were just talking about where it's 6 months, 2 years, where it was just 125 for everybody, we had about a 60% utilization. So 60% of employees would turn something in. Of those 60% that turned it in, probably 10% failed to turn in the whole amount. Like we'd have issues with the receipting, whether it didn't have all the proper information or it wasn't a acceptable reimbursement. So since we've implemented the higher amounts, it's given some people more incentive to do it. The ones we were seeing not do it were probably the 10 to 20 year employees that were just like, for $125, I'm not. It's work, right? And my spouse doesn't want to do it, or I just whatever, not doing it. When we upped the amount, we saw a lot of those employees start to pay attention. I would say we probably went up to about a 70% utilization. 70, I haven't checked it recently, but there has been increase in utilization. We're still struggling with getting the proper receipting. Locally, we're seeing a lot of people don't receipt like we see when you go out of town and get the print off with detailed information. So you go out to eat at some of these restaurants and it tends to be on a blue sheet, which we accept as long as they can show it's not alcohol related. We've also pushed employees to stop or not use it so much for running to Quick Trip for their lunch and making it more of a meal for a family or friends. Because that was the intent, was to enjoy time with family and friends. We've seen more clothing. That was probably an increase. But yeah, it's being utilized. It's for those who do utilize it, and I would say just the whole general, they're very thankful. It is a quarterly reminder that this is a cool thing that the county is doing for them. we get a ton of thank yous for buying meals for family, hotel rooms when they go to a Packer game or salon service. Yeah, we get a lot of happy salon users. So I would say it's probably our most successful benefit when it comes to employees enjoying it or feeling good about it. So what we changed on this one, to get back on we were having troubles interpreting the intent of when your perk starts. So we said 6 months, but what the problem is, like, say my 6 months is in the middle of a quarter. Do I start that day, or do I get the whole quarter, or do I wait until the next quarter starts? So what we're recommending with this language is the day you hit your 6 month mark, you have the remainder of that quarter to spend your money. So we have one employee we've talked to who their 6 month anniversary happens to be on 12/26. So they have 5 days to spend the money to get reimbursed. If they don't, they'll get as much as they can get reimbursed for. Like if they go one meal and get $40, they'll get $40. But they have until the end of the quarter, which would be December 31st, to do it. Otherwise, it starts over for the next quarter. Some people, like in that case, it wouldn't have been so bad to wait till the next quarter to start. But then we have people who would have turned to 6 months on October 15th and would have to wait until December 31st to start their first quarter. So what we're saying is you hit your 6 month mark, start collecting your receipts, and you are eligible for this benefit. That's the update.
It's free money back to them. I don't know why people wouldn't do it. So
You'd be surprised. Even like now, it's like we've been doing it for 2 years. And again, I'm a very organized person when it comes to my finances. I keep forgetting to grab a receipt, right? You go out to dinner, which we don't do a lot, but it's like, oh crap, I forgot the receipt.
that's just
Or-
because you're cheap.
That's true. I am very frugal. But it's one of those, once you start getting into the
Or you
habit,
got more than you need.
yeah, sure. But you forget to grab it, right? You don't. I mean, I had a haircut the other day and I forgot to say, hey, give me the receipt. Or so that's where we're seeing employees, like all of a sudden it'll get to the third month of the quarter and they're like, I still haven't done this, and they really have to pay attention. So I think the more you get into it, the lower the percentages, just because life gets busy.
Okay.
Any issues with the changes there or recommendations?
Hearing none. 23 benefits volunteer programs, dental and vision programs.
We're adding vision because we've always offered vision. We just never said it anywhere in the handbook.
Okay.
So dental vision. And then under that same category, the voluntary is the EdVest program we talked about on that handout. So we have the ability to work with EdVest, which is a Wisconsin college or educational program, for after tax, and putting into a educational fund for yourself, grandkid, anybody who wants to use it for education. This is 100% employee paid. It's just one of those niceties that we would do for employees if they would like to contribute. There's no match. It's just if people want to do it.
We've got a couple of these for our kids. Pretty decent accounts.
Yeah,
Took a heck of a hit when I first got into it, but I'm doing much better now.
yeah, it's long term.
Yeah.
And then our recommendation is to add that as of January 1st.
Sure.
Okay. Item F, 49 vehicle use, insurance requirements, driver's license and loss of license.
Yep. So if you flip the page, we already had a paragraph that discussed this. What we're doing is making it more robust and clear on what the outcome would be. So the paragraphs outline what happens if you lose your commercial driver's license, your CDL or your license off the job. So if you were get an OWI or you get 4 speeding tickets or you lose your license, this is what's going to happen. We have an outline of what you as a board recommend happen to that employee. So with the CDL, it's zero tolerance. You no longer can, most likely no longer can do your job because it's required a CDL. It would be termination. If it's a short-term, regular driver's license, there is some discussion there, but if your job requires it, you're out. And where this came from is we're seeing other counties where employees were losing their CDLs or driver's license, and nowhere in their handbook said you can't do the job. So they were like, fine, give me a different position, or give me stuff I can do that doesn't require my CDL. And our argument is, no, we hired you for the ability to drive. And we do have several job descriptions. So Evan's job description requires him to have a driver's license because he has to go out and inspect septic systems or permits. So, but like my position doesn't require a driver's. I think it says it on my my job description, but there could be an argument where's the requirement. So we make sure we put it in the job description so that we can utilize this if needed.
Everything looks good. Make a motion to approve the changes to the employee handbook as presented.
There's a resolution, right?
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion to accept the changes by Jordan and a second by Alan. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And normally these wouldn't be a resolution, but because you have the ability as a committee to change these, but we felt they were significant changes, so it doesn't hurt to have the whole board.
At some point in time, I wouldn't mind if you looked into the cost difference though. You know,
Yeah,
just
I'll look at it.
for curiosity's sake. Thanks. Or I'm sure Carrie, she's probably listening.
Dennis,
Carrie's out today.
Oh,
We
no,
need
yeah,
a
it's- you're
different
up there.
motion for the resolution.
We need a different motion?
Yeah.
Oh, you want a motion for to adopt the
Adopt their
resolution?
Yeah.
resolution.
Okay, sure. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution, and I did not catch that in there.
I'll second
Sorry.
it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. And that resolution is going around for signatures. Okay, item 7, County Board Policy and Procedure Manual, electronic meetings.
This one was discussed at the full board and sent back to the committee to discuss. In your supervisor manual, it discusses what the requirements are to participate during an electronic meeting or even have one, and who needs to be informed if you're going to be electronic. And we ran into a problem for the forestry meeting that we had never run into before, where we had originally 2 people online and 2 people in person. Would have still caused a problem. We ended up with 3 people online and 2 people in person, which clearly makes it a majority is not present, which is what it is in the handbook. You guys talked about it at board, and I think there's mixed feelings. I think there's a lot of people who are happy with the language, which I'm fine with. We just wanted to make this a known issue. Where I see talking to other counties about what their policies look like, I think they all have the same general policy. They allow in person or away. They require a chair to be in person. Some counties definitely do as many as you want can be online. Others don't. Where I see the issue in Price County is we did a great thing by investing in our technology. And so those who are online can clearly hear us, clearly see us. If you go and watch some of these other counties and what their board meetings look like, or their committee meetings, they're using the OWL, which is great for, like, we use it for Northwest Regional Planning, where we're all sitting at a small table in the middle. We're all about 4 feet from the microphone, where if you put an OWL in this room and try to do the board meeting, just like the Phillips School Board meeting, you can't hear, right? You can't hear, you can't see who's talking. It's not a valuable product or outcome for the citizens. But that leads us to being able to easily, as committee members, participate online, which is great because then you can participate. But in our handbook, or in your handbook as supervisors, that it's not allowed to have more than really 1, 2 you can, as long as the remaining 3 show up in the room.
So this issue is because I missed a meeting.
Not
I
necessarily.
apologize.
Oh.
Well, it stems from that.
And it was-
Anyway,
yeah.
I guess, is there a way to communicate with the other board members, maybe Gene or Nick, like if people are going to be gone? Like we were finishing up harvest. I apologize that I didn't get to make it in, and then I called in late, so that made it even worse. But I guess I didn't realize Jason wasn't going to be here, and I know Michelle's got a different situation she's trying to work through, and hopefully within about a month here that'll be finished up. I applaud her for still being on the board and trying to work like she is. But is there a way to communicate with the other members that, hey, we do have 2 that are going to be remote? I had no clue Jason wasn't going to be here and whatnot. And like I said, I apologize for finishing up with work. And I guess that would help maybe alleviate the issue of it. I think the electronic meetings are great. Like I said, I've called in, used it many times. Paul is using it today. When we speak into the microphones, you can hear very nice and clear. And sometimes, unfortunately, that we can't be there, so I would hate to see it go away. And I don't think that's the outcome of this conversation. It just maybe a little bit more, like I said, communication, like, hey, we do have 1 or 2 that can't be there, we need you there, or we will have to reschedule, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and again, want to be clear, we're not here to pick on certain members.
It's okay,
We're
I'll take the
using
blame.
a simple example. The handbook does clearly state that you need to let the chair of the
Yep.
committee and the clerk know that you're going to be absent. So for the example we've been discussing that caused this, we were not aware of certain members not showing up to the meeting. So Michelle gave us information.
I was aware, but the clerk was not
Correct.
aware that Jason was not going to be there.
Correct. So the chair was aware, the clerk wasn't, which then we didn't know to look at the handbook or to really make sure. For
So do
people
we
to-
add language in on D that you respond to the email of the agenda?
Well, what I do with some of the smaller committees is I put a thing on the bottom saying, let me know if you will be attending, either in person, remote, or unable to attend. But
That's what you do with
But
traffic.
that wouldn't
Yeah,
have
like
helped
with
Jordan
traffic
know
safety
that there
or-
was somebody not here. So what I'm saying is if you aren't going to be, instead of just let the chairperson and the clerk know, because you and I both knew Michelle wasn't going to be here. I knew that Jason wasn't going to be here, but I didn't know that he had contacted you. If we have it that you respond to the agenda email
Sure.
that you're not, then reply to all, then everybody in the committee knows who's going to be there. And if all of a sudden there's 3 of them not going to be at a committee, hey, we got to reschedule.
Yeah.
well, we can't do a reply all.
No, you can't.
I can do a forward to the committee members, or the clerk can do a forward to the committee members.
2 things I've kind of thought about with this, talking to others through this issue, is 1, we could change just the committee to say that the chair or vice chair has to be in person, but the majority don't have to be. So you could look at committee meetings as slightly different. I know that's not exactly what was said at the full board, where it's like, we want to be in person. We understand it feels like you can get more work done. I think we have great technology, so that does help. The issue with that is people log in and don't participate online. They just listen in. And again, is it, you have to have your camera on, and then that counts as in person a little bit differently. The other thing, and this would help on the having meetings and not having meetings. I don't know if anybody did the in boardroom yesterday with Andy Phillips, but they recommend that you take, at the beginning of the year, you schedule all your committee meetings and board meetings so it's consistent, 1 for the public and 2 for the board members. So what happens is you get to June and you have a admin meeting. It's always the second Tuesday of the month, but there's not enough on it. So then you give permission to the chair and the clerk to say, there's not enough contact for June. You skip it, but you always know you're gonna potentially have one. And what that does, yes, people can start to move their lives around a little bit on the long term, but you also know ahead of time, hey, I'm on a family vacation, I have hunting, or I'm going to wherever, I'm out that week. You can still have those committee meetings. You just have 4 people or you have 3 people. So it's something to think about, is maybe that helps get people either in person or
Well, and like I said,
organized differently.
I don't want to see it where only the chair has to be here, because I got a feeling that meetings are going to go to the chair being there. That's it. You know, I still,
just-
I still, the
I could.
majority should be there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Brian, go ahead.
I think the chair should be in there in person no matter what.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
As far as responding, if you're going to be at a meeting or not, that's okay, but should be a timeline. No, I mean, no less than
There is a
24
timer.
hours.
There is 24 hours. Like I said, I completely spaced on it.
I missed that. Okay.
I know. I know.
Another way to handle this, should we change the handbook? I'm just throwing these out there. I'm not recommending one way or the other. Eliminate the requirement for in-person physical presence, except for the chair, but have to at least participate visually,
Yep.
or leave it alone, but de-incentivize online participation. I don't want to get rid of it. I think it's a good thing, especially with people that have to work during the day. But de-incentivize online a little bit by reducing the per diem. Just a thought. That's just food for thought.
Could we also say that you're required to make 3/4 of your committee meetings? Can't
Oh,
do
that was one thing we talked about yesterday on that, in the boardroom, the rules and stuff for board members. You can't create rules that if someone doesn't show up for 4 meetings in a row, or if somebody doesn't do this, they're no longer a board member. The only thing you could do is remove them from a committee. So you'd be removed from a committee if you fail to show up, because that's an appointment. You can't take away their election. So that was an interesting,
Sure.
we always try to go, if you don't show up for 2 meetings, you're no longer on this. Well, you lose your appointment, but you don't lose your status as a elected. So the problem with that is then you're moving around.
I think we just need to work
Members.
on communicating better. Like I said, letting the board chair and the clerk know that we will be here. I mean, it's going to be a pain load of emails responding to Gene or to the board chair each time that, yes, we will be there. We won't. Is there a way to add like
You could do it as a-
like
we could do an invite.
an invite, like a yes or no, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Is it-
that doesn't work well.
No. Because that way you check in, like I reading through the emails and whatnot, you would know by checking in.
It wouldn't be hard to develop something that if a committee member notifies the clerk can turn around and notify the 5 committee members.
Yep.
Right now, I turn around and notify the chair.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be that much more work to notify the whole committee.
Yeah. I think that's where, like I said,
Yeah.
it was.
I agree. I think the whole committee should know.
The clerk needs to be notified in the first place.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we've had multiple remote attendance where I didn't know anything about it.
I'm gonna pick on Jordan again on that. Usually I get a text from Jordan, hey, I won't make it, which
Yeah.
I let everybody know, but
Mhm.
there's a text that, so I'm
And
not
if it
picking
isn't
on you, but
within
I'm just
that-
saying, it's like,
Yeah.
you would let me know, I let everybody know,
Mhm.
rather
If
than-
it's not within that 24-hour notice, are they just considered absent? And then what do you do if you don't have a quorum?
Well, at that point, is the clerk and the committee chair saying, we don't have a quorum, we'll have to cancel the meeting, and we send a notice out. Meeting's canceled due to no quorum.
That's why you need the 24-hour notice.
Right. That's why we need the 24-hour notice. And will an emergency pop up inadvertently?
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's going to. Somebody's going to be harvesting cranberries and miss the meeting. Well, I mean, life happens, right? I
Not
mean, we
I.
all know that life happens, but
And-
we
and-
do need to, I like what Jordan is saying, that how can we develop something where all the committee members know who's gonna be there and not there?
So I'm not trying to create a quorum, but not a
Right.
quorum,
Walking
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 quorum,
quorum.
but you know,
Right.
it's some way to communicate that you are gonna be there. Like I said,
But
Maybe-
it's-
we were
maybe
finishing
we-
up and I was in a different place mentally. I'm sorry.
Maybe each member has to respond to the agenda saying, yes, I will attend. That's at Northwest Regional Planning. Will you be attending? Yes or no? You know, and then we respond back to the clerk.
I will say, we don't have a runaway problem. here.
No.
This
No.
happened one time, where we're not like
But
struggling. every meeting.
there's been several times when there's been remote attendance that I didn't know was going to happen.
And I think we have to be cautious when we're making appointments to committees too, to look at what those individuals' availability is. You know, again, we wouldn't have known Michelle was going to be in Illinois, Indiana, wherever they-
Indiana.
Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois. Again, happens, life happens. We also know that Jordan, with his job, there are certain months that are very difficult to be present. So we shouldn't be putting Michelle, Jordan, and whoever on the same committee, knowing there may be a conflict of time.
Well, and yeah, and like I said, Michelle's thing is it's a
Short term.
Temporary.
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I think that we do pretty good, you know, as a team unit, but there are circumstances when people are not here. But I've received several notifications of I'm going to be absent the morning of the meeting, maybe just a few minutes before. So that, and I'm thinking that notifying 24-hour notice and notify the chair and the clerk. I bet you some of those people didn't even know that was a rule. So maybe it should be communicated again.
I think having these discussions at the board and today have reminded individuals that there is
agree,
something in place. And I think that was the goal, right? I don't think there was an easy solve when we discussed this.
Another thing is that as far as the system, where like there was one meeting when everything went black.
For a
And-
second,
And
yeah.
some people could get in and some didn't. Some couldn't get in and you got the blame for it. So I'm just,
And that's why the rule was to have at least a quorum in person, because we don't know technology. I mean, we know it. Our goal is for it to be 100% up and running all the time. We had a piece where the amplifier stopped working, but everything else worked. We had one where we found out if certain people leave the meeting, it cuts it off after
Dean,
5
don't
minutes.
touch anything.
how did that happen? What, somebody
Yeah, so-
outside of your control left the meeting and terminated everybody?
Yeah, so when we log in from our office, we're all under the same password and username because some of us, Gene creates meetings, I create meetings, Jules creates meetings, Jennifer creates meetings. So we all use the same. So it comes out from Price County. It's our admin group. Well, when I start this meeting, I go in as the admin group. But if all of a sudden Gene goes in as the admin group or Jennifer from our office goes in and one of them goes, oh, I have another thing going on. Or in this last case, bad connection. So they retried. They left the meeting. It looks like the admin of the meeting has left. And it says, we'll shut this down in 5 minutes. Even though I'm still there as an admin, the computer
How
couldn't.
could you make that not happen again?
We've already discussed that in our office. So like, if you're not here in person running the meeting, we all have the admin password to create them. But if you're not running the meeting, we're going to log in under our own name. So like I have a user and password under Nick. Gene should have one under Gene. Jennifer. So
All right, so you've got
we
that under
fixed it on
control.
our end. Yep. But we never had that problem. We've done this for 3 years and
But that's a very good point for keeping that a majority must be present in the room.
and we don't know.
Because who
There might be a
knows
day
when
where
technology, we've had the internet
Yeah.
disappear.
I don't
with no
I
control.
don't think that we should discourage younger members of our community to not become board members. It's harder, and that's going to happen. For whatever reason.
Yeah, and again, we had Monday administrator meeting, 15, 20 of us were online. This was a discussion point. How many people show up in person? What are you seeing? What's the trend? What's this? And there are a lot that just, they call in and it works well for them. technology is the barrier. We've gone beyond that barrier, right? We have good technology, whether it's the microphones or the picture, compared to other counties. I encourage you to go look how archaic some of these counties, like you said, the school board, a great example.
One of the things that I found out, if you are gonna call in and be an electronic participant in the meeting, is that you ought to find a stable place and stay there, because if you're on the road and you're switching between cell towers, it's not gonna work very well.
I got 12 acres of fruit knocked off that last board meeting, I'll have you know. Actually, it was so long, it might have been about 14 acres of fruit.
Find yourself a hot spot and shoot
Yeah.
the tractor
It
off.
was, the breeze was blowing through my hair.
If
So
I
the
could
only
speak-
place we could add it, oh, go ahead, Paula.
Thank
Paul,
you.
you have
Thank
something?
Jim. Yeah, I do. I just want to say, I think this is a good thing. I'm sorry it was on Jordan's back, but I think it was a good wake-up call to how we need to handle these kinds of situations. I know when I send in that I'm not going to be there, I include Jean, Nick, the board chair, and the committee chair. So I try to hit all areas there if possible. And, you know, barring any emergencies, I don't see it should be a problem. That somebody should know that it's on their calendar and you have that responsibility. So I think I like having the young people. I think this is a great way to keep them coming on and doing that. But, you know, it's a job. It's still a job. So there is a responsibility. But sorry, Jordan, you just had to take the brunt.
I got broad shoulders.
Yeah, I know.
Gene, so I have a question. So to waive a handbook policy procedure, is it only the full board can do it, or can a committee do it?
I believe only the full board can do
Because I
it.
was gonna say, if you've come to a committee meeting,
Good point.
again, we don't want to encourage it, but then it would be, you'd have to make a motion. You'd have to acknowledge that you're breaking the handbook.
You know,
rule.
but there's also if you leave this as a majority present in the room, which I think you really should, because you don't know where technology is going to go. We almost had that problem at the land use meeting. Bob told me he wasn't going to make a meeting, and I didn't remember which one it was. If he wouldn't have shown up, we wouldn't have had a quorum for that meeting. And that's a huge issue for land use because of the public hearings and,
Oh, sure.
you know, some stuff it's really difficult not to act on. You know, sometimes a whole meeting you can say, yeah, we'll just pick it up next month, but sometimes you
Well,
can't.
Do you put in there that the board chair has the ability to waive that?
I guess you can do what you want. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, Brian's
chair.
available to be the ex officio
but that's where-
anyway, but
He could be the ex officio or waive it so that those who are online, like at the forestry one, Brian could have said, yep, I am here, we're okay. You know, we have enough.
that would need to be in your handbook.
Yep,
that the
that's what I'm
board
saying.
chair
That would be a
has-
simple, that way it's controlled by one. Some board chairs may be
Oh, I
very
remember when
staunch
Bob
on
was the
it.
board chair, he sat in multiple times, and I think
Yeah.
actually the last meeting last week, he sat in as the ex officio when
I
Patty didn't
believe
make it.
the language, excuse me. I believe the language in there right now is it needs to be a 2/3 vote of the whole board to waive the rules.
But I'm saying just on that one single rule, could you put in there that with board chair permission at the meeting, or somehow, you know, some verbiage that, like that, the forestry one, board chair, oh, we're having this issue, board chair goes, I'm okay with it, I'm present. It's like the judge.
And you could expand that even to say the board chair or the vice chair,
Yeah,
so
because
that,
Brian
the-
wasn't here that.
so between the two of them, they can coordinate so that somebody's always at the meetings.
Well, I'm saying they waived the rules so that in that case, there would have been the regular board
Right.
committee.
Can consist of people that are online.
Right
If the
now,
Board chair waives this.
then it could be online quorum.
Correct.
It's just, it's getting
Muddy.
muddy. Yes. way
No,
more
I
complicated
think,
than
I
it should.
think we need to unfortunately leave it the same. And we just need to re-communicate it to everyone again that we need to do our best to be here, or notify for sure 24 hours in advance. I always set up when I have my meetings, you know, with I always set it up a day ahead that I get a notification. That way I know 24 hours in advance. So it's like, oh yeah, I got a meeting tomorrow, you know, so
And we almost, that meeting before the county board meeting, we almost didn't have a quorum.
no, we didn't. Actually, Brian sat in. Yeah.
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 So,
What were the, I don't know what the reasons were that those committee members didn't show up, but they didn't notify one way or the other.
at all, yeah. So I would still like to see language under D where we notify the clerk, like we respond to the email that the clerk sends out that we're having a meeting. We respond, yes, I will attend. So we have almost a roll call ahead of time. Yes, I will attend. No, I'll be online. So that the clerk knows at least 24 hours in advance.
Don't look at me, because it ain't gonna be me.
I'm pointing at the
maintaining
position
that.
up there. I'm just waving at the
That's a
position.
lot, that's a lot of responsibility and work for the clerk, but that can be
There's the
done.
deputy clerk, there's, yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
We won't go there. You can.
I was just leading over telling Nick that some of these problems we have may go away after the election.
Because communication from some board members may not go two ways right now.
What am I not knowing?
Oh, I think you know. He doesn't want to talk to you.
The one that we have problems with. Anyways, we'll move on.
Do his damn job.
The-
I say we leave it as is for right now, and we just touch on it again at the full board meeting that we need to have a majority at the meetings, and if it comes up, I guess, again in the short term, then we really need to dive into it further. How's that sound?
So something else that needs to be addressed is voting and signatures on resolutions. and-
Yeah, I mean, we just need to stop in.
But that should be defined.
Sure.
That needs
Okay,
to
so-
be
so
defined
even if
in
we
writing
are-
what
even
that
if we
process
are-
is.
Remote and we still vote on it, we need to stop in and sign on them, you're saying?
Okay,
So,
so
I
that
mean,
should
or
be
Prior to
language
the
that's
next full
added.
Yeah.
board meeting.
prior to the next full board meeting or before the full board meeting? I mean, would that work? Or we need to get here.
The key is that you have, that you were online and you did vote.
Yes.
If you're marked absent,
Yes,
then
yeah, yep,
you
yeah,
don't get a say.
yep. So-
I agree with you. I think that, I mean, you could even just have, like, I'll stop in. I was gonna ask if I could do that. I haven't done it before, but I think even though it says I'm remote on the resolution, my signature should be there.
Correct. So you want that added in there, Gene, as a,
Yeah, because right now, Paula voted on this. I
Yep.
would just write remote on
Yeah.
her name is what I've been doing.
yeah,
But yeah, we should have language
Sure.
in there, how
So we need
that
to add,
process
like-
is being handled. I think there's a thing in here about voting. It could just be added to that.
So we'll bring that language back.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
So is that the only thing you're looking at changing is just defining voting and signatures?
Fine, yeah, because I do agree that, we still vote on it even when we are remote. We should sign on there rather than just saying remote, which is just fine,
Remote that defines it for me that person voted
Mm-hmm.
remotely, but going forward, somebody might not know what that means.
Sure. So
Okay.
you'll work on adding that in there?
Yep.
Okay.
So none of the other language you're wanting to
When you're talking about
change?
signing that before the board meeting, can that be the morning of the meeting before the board meeting? Because
Yeah, why?
I'm
write?
not gonna come all the way down from Park Falls just to sign a
Yep.
resolution that I already voted on.
Yeah.
You don't enjoy seeing Gene?
It won't be me.
It's the rest of the
Or-
characters like you.
or-
You know what I'm
Yep,
saying, don't
yep,
you?
it could very well, yeah.
Yeah,
So do you also want language in there that the clerk will notify the committee, the entire committee, if there is
yes,
That would
notice
work,
of
yeah.
remote attendance?
I agree.
That should be
yes.
under item D
Okay.
somehow.
Yeah,
Yep,
Who's the chair also?
okay.
notification of remote attendance by individuals.
And for someone to say they don't want to talk to me, they can easily send an email.
That requires other communicative skills.
Now.
And we
Moving
also,
on.
we almost had the opposite situation where a member said they were going to remote in and didn't. And it was for a committee that we really had to scrounge to get a quorum. And luckily, someone else showed up. And if that person that said they were going to attend a remote didn't, and they didn't, you know, that meeting would have had to been canceled. So there's that issue
and
too.
these
You
are-
can't just randomly put out there, yeah, I'll attend a remote, and then not realize you've made the commitment to attend remote, because that, it's a quorum issue.
Right. These are unique situations. I mean, there are situations we're dealing with.
Just
I don't think
trying
it's
to be
every
proactive.
meeting. Yeah.
to stop. Yep. So there's no abuse of attending remotely. Let's put it that way.
And realizing the importance of a quorum.
Exactly.
But in the instance of you saying that somebody said they were going to attend remotely but didn't, that wouldn't have counted for a quorum anyway.
But there were enough other people that just showed up, that it was LEPC. You have to have 9 members. The day before the meeting, we were down to needing 3 more. One person said they were going to attend remote. That brought the quorum to what we needed. But in the meantime, 4 other people said, yeah, I'll be there. So if those other 4 people wouldn't have kicked in and said, yeah, I'll be there, we would have started the meeting thinking that this remote person was going to make the quorum. They didn't show up, we wouldn't have had a quorum.
Or is that different than the regular standing committees? Because if you're remote, that doesn't count towards the quorum.
It
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 does. on
does,
the
it says,
larger-
it says on here, the standing committees.
Standing,
Yep,
okay,
it's-
okay.
it's in
So
the
there's a
languages.
differentiation in that
Yep, the
particular
language
instance.
is right in here, that the standing
Okay.
committee, yep.
Okay.
You should really attend one of those meetings. It's about 1:45 in the afternoon on a random Thursday.
No, it's not random, it is 1:30.
Okay, 1:30.
I will, the other,
Somebody gotta work.
would there be interest for us to look at 2025 and pick like the second Tuesday for this meeting, the third, like,
When
I know we do
have
that with
tried
health,
that.
yeah.
Health and Human Services does it. It's
it
the
works
second
very well
Wednesday
for
every
them.
month.
Yeah.
The subcommittees are all set ahead of time. It's the third Wednesday of the third month or whatever. Those are all set. LEPC, Council on Aging, all those
I don't mind that, but
subcommittees
it's,
are
it
all
is tough to,
preset.
for an individual like myself, still working, having to do Monday meeting, a Tuesday meeting, a Wednesday meeting, you know, all thrown together in a week, and I gotta leave work.
Well, and we would do it like the second and
Oh.
third week of the month. We would
Yeah,
spread, we can
I
spread
know.
them out.
Yeah.
We were kind of in that groove for quite a while.
And then the problem is like one person be like, oh, I'm doing X, Y, or Z. So they just move the whole thing, which then bumps another committee. So
Yep.
I would propose we just at least look at what it would look like if we went back to more of a structured. I think it would help longer because it's okay if you miss meetings. Like
Yep.
it's not the end of the world. It's more of here's when we always do forestry. So then the public
So
knows
the first Thursday of
Yeah.
the month. How's that sound?
for which one.
Your artificial
Sure.
intelligence should fix that instantaneously.
There
You
we
know,
go.
executive was always the second Thursday. Law enforcement was always the second Friday.
Which Fridays are tough now, but
Yeah,
like
we don't want to do Fridays, but they were on, and highway, it was always like the first Wednesday or something like
which
that.
they could take back Wednesday because Health and Human Services is the second Wednesday and then it bumped other people. So I think if you can get in a groove, it one helps everybody when they're scheduling their normal life activities. And 2, we just know ahead of time. You're going out west to go hunting. Cool. You're going to miss that meeting rather than try to bump around and move it for one person. It throws off the other 4, which we're all happy to move around. That's not the problem, but
Do we move this to a full board then as an agenda item, just to throw it out there and see what the reaction is?
Well, and it could be a committee decision too. I would suggest the first meeting in 2025, bring it up to your committee and say, should we set a standard meeting every month? And then pick
I would recommend we
pick your
just-
date and meeting.
we come up with something in our office to say, here's what we recommend is the random.
Yep,
It's
we
worked
can
in
do
the
that.
past. Do you approve it as a committee? These are your 10 meetings for the year. And like I said, it's easier to cancel one because you don't have information than to try to scramble together to get one because you do have something you need to do. So if we just know in our office that next month on this date, that's when admin is, that's what we'll shoot for rather than like, we didn't schedule one. Oh, hey, can we get one going? Because we have these 3
But the other
issues.
thing with that is you're going to try and get all those meetings in before the county board meeting in that month.
Not necessarily. We don't have like admin, if we know it's after all that, like if it was the last Wednesday of the month, we just know that always goes to the next board meeting. I don't have a
Yeah,
problem with that.
okay, because, you know, admin and executive, you might want to make
Traditionally,
sure
they
they
have
meet
been, yeah.
before.
But I'm okay if
Well-
they're just 3 weeks before a board meeting instead of 1 week before.
Yeah, put them in that last week. That's,
Well,
Well, I can,
land uses, so.
yeah.
my hand is up. I can tell you that admin used to meet on the second Thursday of the month. And now suddenly we're at the end of the month, and that becomes a problem for my personal calendar in that I'm up north and then we like to go visit our granddaughter, which is closer. So that's a personal, but so that changed. I mean, that's changed the last couple months for admin or when we've last met. And unfortunately, I've missed both of them and I'm in person, remote. So that bothers me because I don't like not being in person. But then again, I really am not going to miss seeing my granddaughter. So
Heck no.
no, heck no. So, I mean, yes, those are things we have to
There
look
is-
at. And of course, that changes
Three
too.
members
I
in
mean,
that committee.
your committees do change, so.
Okay, we'll come up with a potential schedule.
Okay. Okay. Sounds like that's it then.
So do we need a meeting for next month?
We are adjourned.
No, we need to set a next meeting. I didn't have that on the agenda. If well, what might you need, Nick? Jennifer?
Well, the board meeting's only in 2.5 weeks, so
Right.
we're not gonna have. a
I
meeting
don't think you're
between now and
fixing any of these policies until February's board meeting, because
I agree.
So
if
do
you do a
wanna-
November meeting, the next one's not till February, so I would just hold off. We'll.
To be determined?
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
then. Not the second Thursday.
Of January. That's usually, that was exactly.